Hey Zane, how you doing, buddy? Um, your substitute mentor is killing me. He's a funny guy. What's his name? Jay. What's Jay's last name? I thought you were talking about Jay Jackson, but this guy's hilarious. Um, he brings up a lot of interesting points, and I see in looking at your PR that you changed some staging.
You are here to free me, right? To bring this travesty to a close because you know I'm innocent.
Okay,
You are here.
here's my thoughts. I really like what he was saying about the timing change and doing the most of the shot seated. And I like the pose that he drew, and I like what you have here. This stuff is great. However, I am missing what you had before, um, and I think there's some confusion. Um, Jay was talking about how you were doing kind of the same gesture twice. And I think that um, you probably didn't intend to do the same gesture twice, but that's probably how it looked to him. But I have seen this, from the beginning, basically. I don't think that that's what you were doing. Here's what I mean. You say, to bring this travesty to a close, and you hold up your hands like to show the viewer this is a travesty, right? And then you sit down and you say, because you know I'm innocent. Like I said, bring your hands out here. But what's happening is when you say you know I'm innocent and your hands are up here, it looks like you're showing the audience your hands again. And that's not what's intended. If you go back and you look at your original reference, you had this really great gesture where it's kind of like, you know I'm innocent. It's this smaller gesture. And that's what you want to get. You know I'm innocent. Up here, it was good and exaggerated, and I know I kept telling you, put your hands out here, put your hands out here so we could see it. But it's not clear. Maybe I gave you the bad advice. It's not clear because what's happening is it's looking like, see? So it looks like you're going, this travesty, see? And then you know I'm innocent, see? So that's not what we want. You want, if um, this gesture, the end gesture, should be just like you had it in your reference. You know I'm innocent. It's just this small kind of, you know I'm innocent. But it needs to be, um, the pose that you have now at the end is perfect. That's what you want. The problem before was we were straight on. You know I'm innocent. This gesture that was so great in your reference is lost because it's not in silhouette. That's why I told you to take it out here. But now, in doing that, it looks like you're showing the person. But by three-quartering the character like you did and having him sit on the edge, you can do that gesture or you don't have to do that gesture because I think what you have there now is great. But I would like to see what you had before because the problem is now you're going right into the sit and it almost looks like like Bishop's butt is magnetically attracted to the chair. Um, um, so that's what I don't like about the new staging. If I could fix my hair for a second, if I could, if I were you, if I was doing your shot, if there was a way that you could take the whole beginning of your first pass and meld it with the ending of your second pass. So he goes, you're here to free me, right? To bring this travesty to a close because, and then sit on the edge of the thing and have everything you have there um, till the end. Because right now he just kind of goes right into that sit. And I think what you could have done, um, I know your mentor said, or Jay said, go into the sit faster, but you didn't have to change you didn't have to change And I know I gave you that big spiel last time about how he's sitting down and how I didn't like that. But what I'm saying, I guess, is you could have used all that and just changed your keys so that he comes into the sit faster, and then you change that end pose into what you have now, and then you might want to change the mechanics of how he sits down, because I was telling you about that leg and now I didn't like that leg. So I don't know if this is making sense or not. Let's go back and look at what you posted. So I could show you what I'm talking about.
You are here to free me, right? To bring this travesty to a close.
All this is good. Okay, so here, this is all great. But here's what I would have done, or what I would do, is to bring this travesty to a close, because that's to get into the seat faster, into sitting down faster. You're kind of just raising your, as you're going to sit down, you're raising your hands. And that's, you're just gesturing to the audience. You're not stopping and saying, to bring this travesty to a close. It would be you're here to free me, right? To bring this travesty to a close, because you know I'm innocent. So it's kind of like you're just showing, you're just doing a gesture to bring this travesty to a close. So it's the difference between to bring this travesty to a close. See? Do you see this travesty right here? This is a travesty. Huh? Huh? There's travesty all over the place right here. And just to bring this travesty to a close. So
because you know I'm innocent.
So if you were to take what you have here, you take all of this, except instead of having him stop in that pose, I guess you could, but it would be super fast. You basically, so he comes down at like 213. Yeah, you just, like this would all be one action. You know what I'm saying? Like, see, he stops at 139, and he's kind of hanging out, and then he steps. So it would be the difference between, he's here, right? This is pose one. To bring this travesty to a close, because you know I'm innocent. It's pose, pose, pose. You're going to bring this travesty to a, or you're here to free me, right? Step, show, to bring this travesty to a close, because step, sit, you know I'm innocent. It would be more like this. You're here to free me, right? To bring this travesty to a close, because it's more like, it's instead of going pose, 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 you're going pose, pose. But in the mechanics of that transition, there's a sub-pose of this. This happens in the transition from from 1 and 2. So this is more like 1A. Rather than 1, 2, 3, it's 1, 1A, 2. Does that make sense? Because it's more like this. You're here to free me, right? To bring this travesty to a close, because you know I'm innocent. That's how I'm seeing it in my head. Where the showing of the hands at the the showing of the travesty is real quick, and it's just a gesture that you make in sitting down. So all this here I like. I would just speed up this hand showing. And then from here, from here,
You are here to free me, right? To bring this travesty to a close, because
then you get all of this good stuff. Although you're kind of showing, you're still kind of up in the air here. This here is great. All this is great. And see how he's gesturing like that? That's great. This is all gold right here. Okay, this is a little too literal.
You're here to free me, right? To bring this travesty to a close because you know I'm innocent.
Okay, so there's good stuff in both. And I think what I'm trying to suggest is if you could, if there's any way to take the gold out of one and the gold out of two and to make super gold. And I'm doing probably a bad job of explaining how to do that. So, and also you have this great, you've got that kind of looking around in there, which I like a lot. It's good. That, see, it adds urgency. It's good stuff right there. That adds that sort of panic feeling. See, even if there's nobody in there, he's looking around like, you know, there's just something about it that adds urgency and panic, and it's great.
Right? To bring this travesty to a...
I just don't like how he sits down. Because how he sits down mechanically, from a body mechanic standpoint, does not make sense to me. He just kind of is there, and then he like squats, and he's magically sitting. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Also, that's a heavy break right there in the spine. Look at the spine. It's just kind of odd. I don't know if I want to start talking about that right now. Probably going on forever. Just want to give basic acting notes. If you just watch that spine right there, just whatever. I'll just keep talking, and I could address that later. Mainly, I want to just address broad stuff right now. This is all great right here. This is fantastic.
You know I'm innocent.
It's fantastic.
You are...
So, here's what I suggest. This is great. This head movement and stuff is great. Just from a body mechanic standpoint, really work out how he sits down. Because that's the main problem. Even if you don't go back and pull any of the gold out of the first shot and try to put it back in here, if you keep this, which is okay, just really nail how he sits. Because right now he kind of just squats over it, and then he's magically down, and it just doesn't make sense. And keep in mind also, this is really hard too because we can't see everything that's going on down there because he's in a peephole. But if it makes sense in 3D, and everything is happening that should happen, even if we don't see it, we should tell. We should be able to tell. You know, like we'll see what, oh, that foot's there. And just the way he shifts his weight and stuff to go down will make the viewer understand, even if they don't see the feet. But right now, it just kind of looks like he's... It just looks like he's going... You know? He just kind of like spreads his legs and magically he, you know, he's sitting down. So, I mean, just be really careful how you know, to bring this travesty to a close, you know, position his feet over it and how he gets down. And then if there's any sort of settling that happens, you know, to bring this travesty to a close. So step, step, down, settle. I think maybe so. It must be the weight that's just throwing me because he just kind of just squats over it. Yeah, see, that's kind of a weird pose right there. Like, what's happening there? Like, see how there's a foot moving and yet he's got, like it, yeah. Not sure what's happening here. It's just odd. like I would think that this foot would be more like that. That's horrible. You know, like you gotta plant. This foot looks this foot right here looks weird. You know, plant that one and then shift the weight, and then plant this one and then shift the weight, and then you can go down. You know, just like body mechanics stuff is tough. I mean, this is the logistic stuff that's really makes it tough, but you got to keep that in there even when you're acting. So really nail that sit.
Bring this travesty to a close because you know.
There's some great settles in there. This whole end part is really good. It's just I think that this is too literal. Let's bring this travesty to a close because and he's saying that as he's seating.
To bring this travesty to a close because
Yeah, I would, when he says travesty, I would just imply it. I wouldn't be like, to bring this travesty here. See, this one, right? Travesty? Just go to bring this travesty to a close. Or it doesn't even have to be up this high. To bring this travesty to a close. This here is, this, God, travesty. To bring this travesty to a close because you know I'm innocent. So, what's my advice to sum up? Well, I like the beginning of your first pass, and I like the end of your second pass. I like the mentor's Jay's idea of having him sit. I think the pose that you have him in and the sit is great. The gestures that he's doing in is great. I wouldn't make the travesty so literal, or what was the mentor's word of it? Melodramatic, I think he called it. Even if you ignore your first pass and you stay with this one, work out the body mechanics of the sit, and just do the travesty as like a quick gesture. Bring this travesty to a close because you know I'm innocent. Don't make it so literal. The head thing looking around, gold. The whole gesture, the settle thing and the gesture at the end is gold. Just really work out. I mean, you could take what you have now, but when you go into your next pass, really nail the body mechanics of that sit. And then, like I also said, just imply the travesty. So you don't have to take anything from the first shot if you don't want to. I know it'll probably be hard to kind of go back and forth now. But this is what I was talking about, and I think he nailed it right away with how he drew over this three-quarter shot here. See how everything is so clear? Much clearer than when he was facing us head on, right? And you can kind of gesture with your hands and they're not totally lost. I mean, you can kind of get this one up a little bit maybe. I mean, it kind of doesn't matter at this point because it's so clear. It's so much clearer this way. You know, that's just a great pose right there. And you had that little settle in there. That right there, that kind of breath, that's great. Yeah. Good stuff. Just that sit. This is kind of the, don't be so, and you're blocking the eye right there with the hands. Just keep the hands down. Keep them down here. Oops, God. Have him cruise around with his hands, you know, like this. And then when he gets over here, to bring this travesty to a close, because Okay, so not so literal on that. This is really literal. See, oh, this travesty right here. Okay, I'm getting to the point where I'm just saying the same stuff over and over again. So I'll shut up now. This is great. This is a lot better. I really like elements of the first one, but you've really nailed the pose and the action at the end of the shot. The timing is better. Just it's the sit, body mechanics of the sit, and not so overly played on the travesty. Okay, just make it a quick little this travesty. All right. If you have any questions, let me know. This is a great improvement, and definitely start to see how much better things are. Not everything has to be in 3/4, but this is really a lot clearer. The end pose is really clear, and the head down and everything. It's a great idea. So anyway, good work. It looks a lot better. I'll talk to you soon. Keep working on it, and really work on that sit, and you'll be surprised how much better this will start to look after you nail that sit. And I'm just talking about your weight. Just get the weight down and everything, okay? But good stuff. All right. Take care, man. Good work.